What's going on, traders? Welcome back to Start Swing Trading, our latest show where we get into some swing trading setups and, of course, let you guys know what's going on out there, right? We're going to take a look at moves that are happening, the top moves on the market on the day. We'll take a look at the swing trades that I'm already in, right? And we'll take a look at new swing trade setups. We'll also get into interviews here with traders. So if you guys know a swing trader or just a day trader that wants to talk about some trading action, let us know. We can always take a look at some setups out there. Today, we're going to have Options Mike. Of course, you guys know Option Mike on Twitter. I'll give you guys that Twitter so you guys can give him a follow. And we got some cool stocks to talk to him about. We'll get into that. That's going to be at 340 or 345. I'll see you guys a little bit later for that as we talk, of course, into some of the stocks that Option Mike is looking at. And then we'll take a look at the overall market towards the close. That's how things will run here. I'm excited to get into stock. I'm excited to get into the swing trading action because there's a lot going on right now. And it seems to me like there's an overall move, right? The growth stocks coming back a little bit, meme stocks even getting a little bit of a push. I saw some cheaper names getting a little bit of a lift, looking to see if the momentum names can come back. But overall, the SPY went up there towards 412, then started turning around. Now we need to keep thinking, is this going to hold on here, right? Or are we going to come back towards that 405? I did see some value start showing up on the day. If you guys taking a look, been really focusing what I'm seeing there from consumer defensive. Consumer defensive was leading for majority of the day. Now it's in third place right now. Well, consumer cyclical and communication services above it. But I think this is definitely important to keep an eye out. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the SPY action. You guys can see how we're coming down there from the 412s back to the 411s. We don't want to see a sell-off in the last hour, right? That will show us that, hey, it could have just been some weaker stocks getting the move and now starting to come right back down. Let's talk a little bit about the top movers on the day in the SPY, right? That's how I first take a look at it. You guys can see Illumina. This is a $211 stock trying to make its way back here. Diagnostics and research stock, but nothing that I'm really super excited about on that one. Don't see too much there. Warner Brothers. Of course, we've been looking at Warner Brothers take that lift from around 9 all the way up there to 16, right? That was about 64% move. Now getting the bounce and continuing to the upside. Generac getting a little bit of a bounce. Norwegian Cruise Line. I think this one's really an interesting one to keep a close eye on. Really got to keep watch to see what happens with Royal Caribbean, right? If I think about that, I think that one has an interesting setup that I'm taking a close look on. I want to see when the earnings are going to come out here. I do see earnings are scheduled for, looks like 2/7. Oh, so we already got through that earnings. Let me just make it sure. I'm looking at Royal Caribbean's earnings. Yeah, that was on the 7th. When does Norwegian report here? NCLH. I just want to make sure that we're not going to run into any reports. This one's in 14 days from now, February 27th. So we're going to look to see what happens with NCLH. Can it continue making the lift? Look at RCL. The reason I'm bringing this up is that RCL has been making its way back towards a long-term trend line. I think this has a little bit of ride up and then is going to come crashing right back down. So let's keep an eye out on that Norwegian Cruise Line as we get closer to the earnings, which is going to be on the 27th in about 2 weeks. So we'll see if Norwegian can continue the lift and push a little higher. All right, let's get back to the SPY and those top leading names. You see CCL right behind that. So it just shows us the Carnival Cruise Lines and the cruise lines overall getting some nice lift there. We'll see what happens if there's any trend showing up. IQV, don't know this one too much. Looks like this one's trying to come back there through the 240s. We'll see what happens there. SWK, Stanley Black & Decker getting a little bit of a pushback after this stock has been completely weak for a while now. Ford, nice move there, bouncing back on the day. But nothing big here kind of leading the way, right? I do see one play here in SEDG. which is up there towards 312. Keeping my eyes on the solar name. I think this is going to depend a lot on what happens tonight. SEDG is definitely one that you want to keep an eye out on. Earnings call is today after the bell. So depending on how this one will go, we can go ahead and swing trade First Solar, right? So right now, a little part of me wants to short First Solar before the report of SEDG. But the truth is, if I do that, this could very easily just spike it right back towards 174, 176. So I'm going to wait for tomorrow's report. But if that report actually comes out, right, SEDG, and it's not a good one, I'll be looking to start getting short on some of these solar names because EMPH report, it popped and dropped off that report. If you guys remember, that one got a little bit of a pop in the after hours, came right back down. So we'll look to see what happens in EMPH if it can come back, and SEDG with their earnings tonight after the bell. All right, catching up with the chat. What's going on out there? The Crow, Florida. What's going on, William? How we doing? Mitch, how many shows are you doing? Too many. Nah, never enough, man. I actually stopped stock market movers for this one. So the key on this one is just to be talking about the swing trades, right? So if you guys have swing trading out there or taking some swing trades, want to talk about them, this is the show to talk about it. We'll get into the action. EMPH had a double beat, still got sold. Something definitely to catch, right? We'll see if those solar names really, truly turn around. Looking to take a Euro cruise this fall, says the Crow. Can't blame you on that one, Crow. I know some people that have been taking some of those Euro cruise. I'm looking into a cruise also myself in April. Looking forward towards that. All right, let's get towards the action. We're going to talk about some of the biggest moves on the day. We just got into some of those names there. And of course, we can keep a close eye on some other names, but let's get into the trades that I have right now. And then we'll go into some sectors and industry outlook where we can find some more swing trade setups. All right, if we take a look there, Solar Edge, right? Solar Edge is going to have their report tonight. Let's take a look at the swing trades that I'm in already. So you guys know about Tesla, right? Tesla's been one that we've been in for a while now. Essentially now here for a couple of days, right? It's been now 2 or 3 days that we are in this. We're going to look to continue to see what happens. We're in from 211.31s. Today was talking about how I wanted to take some profits if we'd get back towards the 190 area, right? That's what we were looking for. Today we actually cracked through the 190, was able to take some profits on that downturn, got some profits around 190.10. And that's as soon as we crack through that 190. So going to look to see what happens now. Do we get to push back through the 200 on the upside? If that does happen, I can get out of the name with even a small profit or just let it work to break even. But if we do break here from the 190s, I think we can go back towards the 175 area. So that leaves me a lot of room for a big winner if this is going to break down. I'm going to give it the chance. We'll see what happens there on Tesla. If it comes back up and stops me out, break even, so be it. But one thing I'm going to do is leave the opportunity to leave the runner on. One of the biggest things I like to do on swing trades is what I call letting the stock work for you, or letting the market work for you, right? Once we get into a position of strength, we want to go ahead and let that stock just move in the direction and continue to work there. Of course, you want to take profits on the way there. You guys determine where your profit takes are. I always like to take some profit, and then leave that last little bit to see how far you truly can get that expansion away. So we'll see what happens there in Tesla. We started to get the first move, right? That's the 190 move now. Now we're going to look to see if we get that expansion away from the support and really start going back towards the 175. We'll see what happens there in Tesla and see if it's still into the green. Today it was in the red slightly. I mean, the open is 194.54. Right now we're at 194.78. We'll look to see if it ends the day red. And yes, Tesla, John Ray Gonzalez. What do you think about Tesla? You long, short? What do you think about it? All right, and the Crow talking about swinging Starbucks. I'm going to have to hear a little bit more about that, Crow. You swinging Starbucks to the upside, downside? Which way is it? We'll find out. What if a day trade becomes a swing trade? I think that's definitely an important outlook, Florida. And I'll actually talk a little bit about that outlook coming up right now. I did take some of this style of trading, right, where a day trade can become a swing trade. I think the important thing there is always about sizing, though, right? If you are thinking that this trade could become a swing trade, I think you always got to understand that you're probably going to have different sizing for your day trading size than your swing trading size. So just keep that up. All right, let's take a look at the action. Let's go to the next swing trade on the day. GE from last week, right? GE was one that we did take on the short side and was stopped out of this name today. I took this one on, of course, the trading action on Friday. You guys might not have seen it on Start Swing Trading, but got stopped out in this one through the 81.50. That was from 81.34s. And there you guys see it. It cracked out there. We'll see what happens on GE. Will it continue the upside push? This was for a breakdown through the support. Now that you're getting GE to start making a move up, we can definitely keep an eye out on some other names. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up for some new swing trade setups. Always going to tell you guys whether whether it goes green or not, right? I'm not here to try to act like I'm going to get every swing trade into the green, and neither are you guys to follow me, right? That's not what this is for. That's not what the show's for. It's not for copycat trading. It's for you guys to talk about the swing trading setups. How do you approach it? And of course, you guys catch a winner. That's up to you guys to determine your own risk assessment. Let's keep going into the action. Let's go take a look at some other swing trades that I put on. All right, so one swing trade that I have on right now is, of course, on Shopify. Don't know if you guys caught that this morning, but on live trading, we were trying to get this one. First started sizing into this towards the 48.50s as we were coming back there towards the support, added towards the 48.25s and down there closer towards 48. I'm at an average right now of 48.34. And we have made a move to 49 multiple times. That's about 1.3%. So I'm looking to see if we can hold this daily support, right? Daily support right underneath it towards kind of that 48, 47.50 area. We're going to look to see if that can hold and make a nice little push here towards the close. A closing towards 49 would have me feeling confident about this one. I have not taken some profits at all in shop. So I want to go ahead and get above 49.34s for that 1 point win and at least take some profit there. And I can leave the rest of it to become that runner look. We'll see what happens there. And definitely hit the like. Let's keep it going. There's going to be a lot of swing trade talk that I'm going to get into. And I'm going to do my best to just keep going through these charts. All right, so with Shopify, we'll look to see if we can get back above the 49s. You guys can see here, also on the hourly, how we've been trying to come back up, right? Well, just draw a trend line for me. This shows me right here that I'm okay with a pullback towards 48. Don't want to see really closing below 48, and I want to see this get back towards 50. If it can get to 50, we're really going to be in a nice spot there for Shopify. All right, let's keep going. Can I long shot for a swing now? That's all going to be up to you, Joe Mama. Like always, you want to go ahead and just take a look. If you think that that's your trade, well, it's up to you. All right. Hey, batter, swing. Batter. Dylan with the classic baseball mention there. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look. Like always, you never know. Either you're a home run swinger or a base hit. That's all your approach. We'll see what happens there. And shop. If it does crack through, of course, down towards the 47.58. I even had to stop out for me at the 48s. I didn't even want it to crack 48s today. Just wanted it to get back up there. We'll see what happens there. All right, one more swing trade for you guys out there. So definitely smash the like if you guys enjoy me telling you guys exactly what the swing trade setups are that I'm looking at right now. And we'll look to see if we can keep this going. Now, another thing that I've been trying to keep a close eye on is these value type names. So I went after General Mills today. Why did I go after General Mills? Is that we've been seeing the pullback in packaged food. I wanted to see if this was going to start getting the lift. Of course, on Friday, I started looking at this area and I missed the stock. That's going to happen. You're never going to be perfect on all the stocks, but I was looking at certain ones in here. KHC was the one that I was trying to get at 39 or slightly below 39. And this has continued higher. Now back up there towards 40.22 on Friday. This had a nice day. Continued the day today. Kraft Heinz getting a nice little lift up. We'll see what happens on these value names, right? Will they be able to start coming back? Will the names start coming back towards the defensive sector? Something to keep in mind, right? GIS, so General Mills, I got into this one. I could see some bottoming action around 75.50s. Were we kind of turning things around on the name? That's definitely an important outlook. I'll show you guys exactly what I drew here. I drew kind of a symmetrical triangle for me. And I said, all right, well, as long as we can hold towards this 75.50, I can risk here. Got in there at 76 for the break, looking for the break back towards 77. Really, that's what we want to see kind of continue the lift. Got in this one right at 76.10. Willing to add to this, but really, I just want to see this start getting into the favor and seeing some of the growth names go out of favor if this is going to go ahead and rotate back. This is going to be one of those trades where if it does come into my favor, we could get a nice little pop. We'll see what happens on some of these value names and packaged foods. What do you guys think? Packaged foods? You swinging Tyson, Jared? That Tyson life. I was looking at a bunch of these. We'll take a look at them right now with some of the swing trade setups, but not a bad one on Tyson. A lot of levels to go off of, right? Nice little bottoming action. We'll look to see if this can come back and fill the gap. Doesn't look too bad there. I was looking at an ABM, Archer Daniel. This one come back. You can see also kind of bottoming action below it, right? These stocks are kind of sleepy. Going to look to see if the sleepiness wakes up and we start getting back up. Marie in the chat says, I'm in a swing on GIS also. Hey, well, looks like you never know, right? Two eyes could be better than one. So if you're seeing something there, Marie, and I'm seeing it, who knows? Maybe there is something there. The truth is we'll never know. The only thing that will always tell us is the P&L. What happens then, right? The results, right? And it's not about being right or wrong. It's just a probability outlook. Right now, for me, the probability for us to move some money into some of these value names, to take some of the profits that we've seen in the big tech names as of late and shift that money into value doesn't make too wrong of sense, right? And I think that the important thing that we need to be looking at is always where's the money rotating to? Something to keep in mind, right? All right, let's keep going. EKS, only swing trade is pairs. Pairs trading. What are you pairs trading out there, Easy? The Crow, what's up? I don't know how Michael Saylor sleeps at night. I've actually talked to Michael Saylor, so I thought that was an interesting one there, Crow. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for sure. All right, let's get into some action. Let's go towards the sectors and the industries. Let's look for some setups, right? Some new swing trading setups. We got about 20 minutes until we get Option Mike on. So you guys in the chat, this is when you guys can come into the program, right? I want you guys to be talking about setups that you guys see. So throw them up in the chat. If you guys see a nice swing trading setup, even if you're not in the name and you just see something, throw them up in the chat. We'll roll through those. You never know. You might be helping someone else see something that they were thinking about. And now that you're seeing it, they start looking at it a little bit more, considering what are the options. Like always, you guys make risk assessments. We'll just point to the directions, right? That's what we want to be looking at. All right, let's get towards the action. I see some names dropping in the chat. Excited to hear about what kind of trades you guys have on the radar. All right, so let's get into that. Consumer cyclical actually leading us on the day. Remember, last time we talked about on Friday, technology and consumer cyclical were at the bottom of these sectors. And I think that's important to kind of catch everything in the green today. So it wasn't a bad day for the bulls, right? We'll see what happens tomorrow with CPI. Yeah, you guys know it. CPI coming. I'll have to find out what happens there. All right, consumer cyclical. What are those types of stocks? Those are the high beta names, right? High beta names are going to move up and down when the market moves. That's just the way it works, right? Well, take a look here. Footwear, accessories, not having a bad day there. A little bit of a bounce back on the week. Nike, a little bit of a bounce back there. Crocs, a little bit of a bounce back. Shoot and Rocky brands. We'll see what happens there. Was looking at Foot Locker for an even of short, but it looks like it's strong right now. So I'm not going to jump in front of this right now. We're going to be watching this tomorrow to see what happens with CPI. If we start taking a hit and these growth names come back down, that's where you got to be a little bit careful. These names can turn back around. But also, let's say for any reason we do have a good day tomorrow where the bulls seem to be in control and risk on type of day. Foot Locker could actually make an up move in that type of tape. So keep watch to see what happens there. All right, Leisure having a decent day there. You guys can see some of these companies. There's some smaller names that were getting some lift and continuing to the upside. Of course, Norwegian Cruise Line, we talked about and how the cruise lines keep holding in here. Even Yeti getting a little bit of a lift. You guys know Yeti Holdings. Who has a Yeti cooler out there? I need one myself. You guys can always send it to me, right? We'll see what happens on those Yeti. The Yeti coolers are great, but is the brand gotten to the point where there's other competition in this space? It's going to be hard to keep watch. This one has tried to come up through 48 a couple of times. We'll look to see if it makes that move or not. All right, looking at golf, some golf leisure. This one's trying to get back up through 50. We'll look to see what happens there. And what was the other one? What was the Top Golf one? MODG. Man, they made this hard. Top Golf, Callaway, MODG. This one's bouncing right now. This one doesn't look too bad of a swing trade off of the 23 level. Now it's just more of a matter of if you feel that we're back in the bull market and the consumer isn't going to blink twice. Well, who knows? Maybe Top Golf seems like a play for you. All right, let's get out of the consumer cyclical area. You can see consumer communication services bouncing back right now. That had a good day there. Let's go to the defensive names where I think it's very important to kind of catch what is going on underneath the hood here in defensive. So let's take a look. Let's try to find some of these plays. And then I'm going to go to you guys in the chat. I know you guys are throwing up a lot of these kind of swing trade outlooks. We'll go through them. Defensive names, right? I already talked about GIS, but there's some other names that we can look here to find out what's doing well, right? Let's go to the high cap names. Walmart, discount stores, having a nice little push. Let's go to the daily outlook. You can see how we're starting to come back towards 146. Will Walmart get back up there towards the 150? At least this one has nice levels to go off of it underneath around the 142, 140 level, acting as support. Procter & Gamble bouncing back. Coca-Cola, this is one that we talked about this morning on pre-market prep. And what did we say? We said, take a look at Pepsi, or at least I did. I said, Pepsi looks like it's leading Coke. And it happened last time, right? If you guys remember the bottoming action around here, where we were looking at Pepsi starting to come back, was when it started to make the nice little drive lately, and then it fell off the tape into January, right? Well, we'll look to see if this can bounce back. Coke, right now, already bouncing off the 59.50. We'll look to see if it can get back to 61.50 and 62 tomorrow. They do have earnings before the bell. So if you're liking the swing into earnings, I personally don't do that often. Very rare will I swing a trade that's going into earnings. I would have to be deep into the green for me to feel comfortable doing so. But we'll see what happens on a name like Coke. I think this one's actually one that we can keep watch to get that nice little uplift. We'll see what happens there. All right, Coca-Cola, we'll see what gets the nice little move there. And there's some more earnings stocks, of course, going to be reporting tonight and tomorrow. We got Palantir on the radar tonight, Solar Edge on the radar. We talked about that one. And then tomorrow, before the open, Coca-Cola, Marriott. What about some of these types of plays? Let's go to Palantir. PLTR. PLTR, of course, Palantir was for a long time a retail favorite in the 25s, finally cracked, came down towards the 20s. Some people were thinking it was going to bounce there. It didn't get much bounce, and it's back down there to 750. Below the IPO, I think something to keep in mind there is Palantir is pretty cheap right now, but the question is Is it going to get the love? Is this the environment where it gets to push back, right? So we'll see what happens here in Palantir. I'm definitely going to swing it into the earnings. I'm going to wait till what happens tomorrow, but definitely that's going to be very important reporting after the bell. And how Palantir goes, we'll react after that to see what happens there in software infrastructure. Of course, this one's a data type of play. We'll see what happens there. All right, getting back towards this consumer defensive names, Coke, Pepsi, we talked about those. Costco trying to make a move up. Philip Morris, of course, tobacco is trying to push here higher towards the 104, 106 area. So that's starting to get the lift. I even saw Unilever get a nice little push back. Household personal products. I think these are areas that we can definitely be looking at. I also was looking at Clorox to see if this was going to push right back towards 156. Did have a nice day going towards 152. We'll look to see how it closes, but Clorox not looking too bad. And keep my eye on some of these value names as they start getting the push. Of course, also another area that I've talked about keeping a close eye is the grocery stores with KR and ACI. All right, ACI is the one that I'm thinking about taking a bet on. Still got to talk to my man Dennis about this one. I know he knows a little bit more about the deal and what are the implications here that look the best. But ACI doesn't look that bad. As long as you're going to be risking off the bottom around the 2050s, we'll look to see what happens there in Albertsons. All right, catching up with the chat. Time to do some swing trades from you guys. So keep throwing them up there. MO breaking out. It's something about it, right? We get some stress. Looks like tobacco goes up. Let's take a look at some of the ones that you guys are mentioning. I'll get to the action. Keith, good question here. I noticed that you have average volume setting, average volume study, range of 14 days. Is that a specific setting? Okay, so what you're seeing there, Keith, is on my charts. What you're seeing is an average true range measurement. So this is one of the ones that I like to use, the average true range, the ATR, if you want to look it up, Keith. So look that up. That's what I would take a look into, understanding how we're using ATR and how we can use that. What it really much gives me is the average daily range, right? The range in from the bottom to the top, right? Like ACI on average trades about 24 cents. We can do this on the SPY, right? SPY right now on average trading about $8, 8.82 on the name, right? You could look at like an AMD. AMD goes about 3.95, about 4 points, or maybe like a Tesla. Tesla's big. That's 25 points that can move on the average true range, right? I think it's definitely important to keep watch on the average true range to see what happens there. But this one's been getting a spike. Tesla on average lately has been only moving about 12 points. So something to keep in mind. We'll see what happens there. And sometimes you get like these erroneous data that can ruin it. I think this spike right here was kind of ruining my data there. But average true range, you can check that out. That's going to be this yellow line that's in between my volume line. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some of the setups that you guys are checking out. Let's run through them here, guys. You guys in the chat, when you guys hear about these setups, I want you to put the ticker and put if you're bullish or bearish the ticker so that everybody gets some opinion out there. Let's go for UA here. UA for a bounce type of play. Got hit hard on the earnings. Will it bounce back? I think you're looking at that 925 as risk, right? 2-day lows right around the same area, 925, 924. So as long as you're using that as your risk, I don't see this as a bad trade. Could bounce back here towards, let's say, $10 on a good CPI report. Of course, keep in mind the CPI report is coming. I'm not against Under Armour here. I do think it could bounce back to 10, but a lot of that I think will all depend on Nike also. If Nike wants to go for the drive for 130, we should get that lift there in Under Armour. I'll catch what you guys are saying in the chat. What are you guys saying? Bullish or bearish, the Under Armour move? All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other names. TSLQ also adding. The Bear Daily ETF there for Tesla. I saw a nice little VWAP bounce earlier in the day. That bounce and then came really quickly right back down. So you got to be careful on these. These do move smaller than Tesla. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at these TSLQ and these bear daily Tesla names. Just keep that in mind that these move a little bit slower than the actual ticker does, right? This could keep us in, especially if we're trading kind of common stocks, a little bit more controlled. It's not a bad outlook there on that TSLQ. Netflix looking good. Netflix looking good for which way? Steve, do you think this is bullish or bearish? Want to hear what you have to say, Steve. Why? I'll catch what you say in the chat there. But Netflix has been really pushing. I think we're getting towards the topping action. Maybe you can get back here towards the 400. I don't see too much more than that. Netflix has gone up about 60%, but it's hanged on there. Now will it turn around? I think that's something to keep watch. And of course, keep your eyes on Disney. I see Disney really weak. That gives me some signs that maybe Netflix is also starting to turn around. Disney tried to come back today towards the 108. We'll look to see if Netflix can get back through that 360. Not a bad little push on Netflix coming back after a day of pullback. All right, catching up in the chat. What's going on out there? Oh, option Mike, my bad, man. I got you, my friend. I thought I already got you that. I got you, dude. No worries. Let me go ahead and give that to option Mike here. I got it ready here. Boom. All right, there we go. He'll be joining us in just a few minutes, probably about like 6 minutes. So don't worry about that, team. He'll be with us in a few. All right, let's keep going. Bearish. I saw that on the Under Armour. What about Netflix? Were you guys bullish? Steve says he's bullish. What do you guys think out there? Bullish or bearish on the Netflix trade? Throw it up in the chat. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other ones being called out in the chat here. Let's keep rolling through some of these. Shop has earnings on Wednesday. Yes, I'm going to be keeping Shop into that earnings and then probably looking to sell before the earnings hit. It's always an important one to catch there. All right, let me roll back up, see if there's any other names mentioning out here for swing trades. Saw NVIDIA mentioned there. Probably we'll talk a little bit about NVIDIA. Let me take a look there. What other ones thrown up in the chat? You guys in the chat, let me know. There's the NVIDIA for the bull move tomorrow. Let's see. All right, so NVIDIA, I think it's all about holding the 200 spots for pullback, right? When we got up about above that kind of inverse head and shoulders, that's about the 193 area. Talked about that on the day that it pulled back and recovered that kind of 193 area. It's been going up, got up there to 230s. Can it get back to 230s? If I do think it breaks through, let's say the 215, comes back towards 210, I think you'll get a 200 test. So it's going to be all about the CPI here if it can keep these tech names strong. Of course, NVIDIA has also been getting a lift because it's mentioned for AI, right? And a lot of people think that the chips, right, are behind a lot of the AI. So you have been seeing NVIDIA continue to get some love from that. We'll look to see if it can get back through the 230s, right? That's your trend is your friend until it isn't. Right now, I see the 9 EMA holding really well. That's that light blue line that you guys see here. We'll look to see if it can get back there towards the 230s. All right, let's keep going. We're going to take a look. In a few seconds, we'll get option Mike on. I'm going to take a look at one or two more here from the chat, and then we'll go ahead and bring on our guest. All right, let's do another one here. PayPal. That's an interesting one. Of course, they had their earnings. I was keeping an eye on it with Square, right? Because Square is a very similar chart, right? Let's take a look at those two right now. I'll put the three charts up here so that I can kind of bring that up. There we go. Let me go ahead and do this. PayPal with Square on the left, right? And so what I like about this is that you can see where I'm looking at, right? How's the daily outlook here, right? Well, PayPal on that earnings day was right also with Square getting that little push up. Now that we're pulling back, both on support, PayPal has support around the 79s, maybe slightly below that towards 78.50s. And look how Square is trying to make its way back here. Doesn't look too bad, but these have gotten a nice run since January, right? Doesn't mean that it's completely turned around the chart. And it could take a little while to get these charts back up to where they are, right? We could still see some sideways action. PayPal move back above 90 is definitely very important. For Square, also above 90. And I think that that's an important level to look at. Right now, I think there's some people probably pairs trading Block and Square and PayPal right now. I'm just going to keep an eye out to see if we can actually drive back there towards the 80. If not, it could come falling off on PayPal. And same thing for for Square, and same thing for PayPal. If you can look on the daily chart, on Friday, you got up there to 82.85, turned back around. You need to get back towards that 81, start showing that you want to get back to 87. If not, you could break through and then come towards the 75. These are definitely stocks that I think you have to kind of give them a chance to really start moving before you jump the train too early. And you can see on the monthly candles how they're starting to pull back here on Square. So maybe you're looking for monthly pullbacks to get an opportunity closer towards the risk. We'll see what happens there. All right, enough on PayPal. I'll do one last one, which was Lyft. Lyft is definitely one of the stocks that just got beaten down. Will it be able to close this gap back towards the 16? I highly doubt it right now. And I think that what you're running to also on Lyft is that you're going to have some overhead supply on Lyft, right? Pretty much majority of investors are down on Lyft. So on pops, they're going to be wanting to get out, right? We'll see what happens there on Lyft. Can it really get moving here back towards 11? Not something that I see strong by any means. I wouldn't be swing trading a chart like this because it just doesn't give me the edge. But like always, you guys let me know what you guys see out there. And if this is a chart for you, hey, so be it. We'll see what happens there on Lyft. All right. Do I see some more stocks mentioned in the chat? We're going to go ahead and bring on our guest here. We'll get into some different stocks that he's looking at. And of course, if you guys have comments about these stocks, throw them up in the chat. That's what I'm here for too. Maybe you have a question on the setup, or maybe a question on the stock. Where's the support? Where's the resistance? What do you see? Well, let me know. I'll go ahead and I'll give it to Option Mike. He's coming on now. So you guys smash the like button. Let's keep it going. All right, let's go ahead. How we doing, Option Mike? What's going on, man?
Mitch, man, how you been? Long time.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a while. I think, let me just make sure that your mic's on the right setting there, because you know how StreamYard sometimes is a little weird. Just make sure that your headset is connected there. Go ahead and speak. I think I catch it there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I just think that I don't know if it's on the headset correctly there. If you want to just check it just for a second in the setting.
I've been using it all day right here.
Okay. No, it could be my platform. That's why. It's not necessarily your computer. It's more my platform. Sometimes with mics, it just, they could see it too. They say it very loud. If not, I can adjust his mic there, but here we go. How we doing, Mike?
Test.
All right, there you go. That sounds not bad. Yeah. At least on my side, that sounds fine. All right, let's go ahead. We'll get it rolling here. Of course, Option Mike is definitely a trader that is in the everyday action. That's why I like bringing him on. Everyday action is so important, right? Because we're able to keep watching the tape, keep watching how the environment is turning right now. Of course, for a long time, I felt like in 22, it was very difficult to do some swing trading. I know I was suffering in kind of 22 because that's my bread and butter, right? I did do some day trading in between in 22, but swing trading is for me where it's at because I do like to catch some trends. What did you think of swing trading in 22 versus how it's starting to go through in 23?
I did very little swing trading in 2022, and I'm adding more and more now. In fact, I put two new swings on today. We'll see how they work out with options. So, starting to try to swing more. I will tell you, I remain bullish on this market. A lot of people keep going over this with me. We're in a little bit of a pullback, and pullbacks are healthy. You don't want the market to just keep going up every day. That's what we call the pain trade. That is one of the hardest markets to trade because you constantly feel like you're trying to chase, and you feel like you're chasing, and you wake up the next day and the market goes back up again, and you're just absolutely miserable, right? So this is very, very healthy, guys, and the market internals, what I track, have been very strong since January. They've weakened a little bit in the last week and a half, but they're still very strong. So again, we have a big number tomorrow, and I think that big number is going to really kind of define the direction for the week.
Definitely. I mean, like always, we got to keep watch to see what happens. It seems like we're definitely in a different environment right now. And I feel like the euphoria has really kicked on and the FOMO is out there.
For
You're not
sure.
hearing too much bearish talk, even though there's still bears out there. But right now, it just seems like the short term seems like continuing the momentum. Can we follow the trend on a lot of these names and just hold on to the trend? Pullbacks are okay as long as we don't break them, right?
For me, it's even about the change, the safety names, the big pharma names, the Cokes, the Pepsis, right? Even energy, there's been a run out of those, and they're running into beta names again. You have names like Meta and Microsoft running AI, and you even saw names, crap names. And please excuse my language, but Carvana's probably going to go out of business because they're losing so much money for every car they sell. You cannot maintain that. But they're buying names like that. They're showing an appetite for some risk, and that's what you're looking for in this market. And so for me, I've been looking at names I want to swing. So the first one for me, I started with today. I bought some Boeing March 230 calls today. And I wanted time, and I went about a third or so of my normal position because Boeing's been in this beautiful sideways channel. And if you look at the blue bands, those are the Bollinger Bands. This thing is so tight. Big moves come out of tight setups. Now, big move doesn't necessarily, it's going to be up, could be down the other way, but big moves come out of tight setups. And this name looks so ready to pound up. And it tested that 216 and 215 area today, and it just looks like it's getting ready to go, and it just needs the market to be with it, I think. And I think a move to 220, even to the 230 area, is not impossible on a quick move. If you look how this thing runs, it's digests, and you get a big 3 or 4 day move, and that's what you're looking to try to get in and take advantage of. So for me, I'm starting a position in it because I don't want to be chasing it if it pops up on a gap up and having to sit there and say, oh man, I can't chase up here.
Yeah, I like that chart. I've been watching Bowen kind of holding that supportive trend line, you could call it. You could see it there with your EMA line that you have below that. I think that's the 21 that's slightly below it right now.
Yeah, the black line's the 21, and it's just kind of riding on that thing. And it's really been in the channel from like 204 up to 215, and it's just kind of playing in it. But
Yeah,
it
definitely.
looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. We'll see if it gets through that resistance. What is kind of the clear kind of breakout signal for you? Would it be above 220s or what kind of level?
No, I think actually you get a close over 216 and we go. Or
All right.
or big intraday volume pushing through 215, 216. A lot of people don't realize that, but if you're watching on a 5-minute chart, and let's say we're 10 minutes or 20 minutes into the market day, and you're already at 20 or 30% average daily volume, that's what you're looking for, right? You're already at 10 to 20, 30% average volume in the first 10 minutes. Obviously, that's stock and play. That was like Microsoft for me today. I was watching Microsoft all pre-market. That's why I traded today, because it had huge volume pre-market. It was up in a market that was kind of wishy-washy, and it had big time volume on it today. It's 110% volume for no news, no upgrades, no earnings. That's big volume on Microsoft.
Definitely. We want to catch that. And I saw that too. I could see Microsoft strong, and Google weak. Very rare to see that. And we clearly see it today. And that just goes to show me, probably we know what's the best of breed of the AI, at least for the moment being, right? We'll see if that turns around. But for the moment, definitely they're appreciating Microsoft and devaluing on Google. Let's take a look at some different trades. I know you got some other ones to bring up here. So let's keep it rolling. What's up next, Option Mike? What do you want to get into?
Well, let's go with Goldman Sachs, and then we'll switch back to tech.
Goldman Sachs, definitely an area that's interesting. I remember before the earnings, they were riding it up there. The earnings came back. They knocked it right back to the support. Now it's right back through that level. What are you seeing there?
This earnings season, for most of the names other than like Lyft and stuff, they bought them back on weakness. Anything that was weak, they've been buying it back. That's another great sign for a market, by the way, if you're a bull. They're buying weakness back. Here's your big earnings candle here. This was, it was a bad report. I mean, let's not hide it. It was a bad report. Their consumer division was just a fiasco. And then in here, we come out with the SEC investigation coming in on top of them. And that marks the low, right? We turn around, we come back up. And here's your all-time high. You're right next to all-time highs on this stock. And after this, so if you're looking to trade the banks, this one, J.P. Morgan, I love. I mean, they're all good right now, but this one has the range where the rest of them don't have the range, right? Bank of America, if this thing moves 50 cents a day, sometimes you're lucky. Goldman Sachs moves $10, $15 a day when it's in play. So I would put this on your radar only because it has the range, and I like it at a break over 380, Mitch, right? That seems to be the magic level it has to take out. And above that, it can really run. So if you trade it up to 380, then maybe take some profits if you're in it and put a stop in the money. But if it takes out 380, I think you come up here and you retest this 387 area, and then we see it.
Like it. I've also been keeping a close eye to see if Morgan Stanley will hit that 100, right?
Beautiful.
Goldman Sachs gets through that. Well, then we probably get Morgan Stanley through the 100, right?
Morgan Stanley looks fabulous, right? Again, the bank stocks right now, to me, they've rested, they've digested, even JP Morgan, which has been a little laggard. Wells Fargo has been on fire, and you look at these and they say, if you want to rotate, there's a rotation for the market right into this sector right now, because it's had time to cool, whereas a lot of the big tech names have just gone, like NVIDIA, it's just run a little bit too much, too fast, coming up on earnings. Is it next week or the week after? I don't forget, but I know it's coming up.
Yeah, and I think it's an important thing to kind of keep in mind. It seems like the banks for a while were riding up, and some people were questioning why the banks continued higher. Well, a lot of the concern was if we're going to a recession, how are these banks getting higher? Well, it doesn't look like that is the same concern. And now the stocks are a little bit too far gone, right? So it's kind of hard. You got to come after them here. We'll see what happens in this rotation into financials, but it's been one that's definitely has remained strong. Let's continue going. What else do you got for us, Option Mike? You guys smashed the like. He's bringing multiple trades here for us. And I think it's always important to get the different outlooks of the industries and sectors that we're taking a look at.
Let's talk Microsoft since you brought it up, and let's just start off with the earnings. I trade earnings, and I don't trade them pre-market. I trade them after hours. I trade them with stocks. So if you guys ever join my room and come in with me, you'll see how we do. We made a killing on Microsoft, on Disney, on Net, and a bunch of other names, because we wait for the news. And on Microsoft, it's always about the conference call. So whatever the initial earnings reaction is, I generally don't touch it. Listen to the conference calls because they offer guidance on the call. So you always have to be out there listening to that, and that's the most important thing to be on. So there's a little tip for you guys.
Love it.
Big thing here on this is, they bought, here's your earnings weakness. Where was it? Right here, right? They bought it back, and here it is. They pushed it all the way up to 277. And I said last week, when I said I wouldn't be chasing on Wednesday, you're just too hot. The market had just run too much. But they're saying that they believe in chat GPT interface, they believe in AI and Microsoft, and they believe in the advertising revenue it's going to bring them, and they want to be it. And so what I would point out here is I might need another couple digestion days. It's still well off the 8-day. And one of the things I always look at, guys, is how extended are you off the 8 and the 21 day? If you're getting very extended off of there, funds don't like to buy up there. Funds do not like to chase. Just remember that. Retail chases. Funds don't like to chase. It may give you a couple inside days, but if you take out 275 with power, you have a gap sitting up here at 281, and I think they go running up and they fill that. And by the way, it's a little bit of an island gap. If you don't know what that is, you gapped up, you had a week and a half of sideways action, you gapped down, and everybody that was long has been trapped up here now since back in August, unless they sold for a loss. So you have a little bit of an island gap here that they can go up and take these people out. So like Microsoft as we move forward.
Yeah, I've been watching kind of a longer term trend line that goes back towards like that 2019 kind of time on the daily and weekly. And if we can hold above 270, 275, and I think you're back into that bullish trend, that hold down action, just completely, you can knock it off the charts. It was kind of similar to me on the Apple chart when we recovered that 140 area on Apple, and then it started just holding 140s. Now it's holding 150s. If anything, I think Apple looks bullish.
It's extremely. I mean, look. Here's your earnings day, right? On a bad report. Let's face it. That report was bad. I mean, it really was bad.
Yeah, it doesn't matter right now.
But they bought it, right? And this is it. Price action's king, guys. They bought it. Now you have 6 inside days inside that earnings candle. You're right. To me, this is very bullish, but it's got to take out, let's say 154.50, 155, to me, or buy it off the 8-day. Notice how it's holding the 8 days on pullback? Very strong. You have to like that. I would put Apple as a name I would have my eye on here. I like it a lot. It just needs to wake up, and it probably just needs the market to be with it here.
All right, we'll do, let's do 1 or 2 more here. Let's get into the action. What else do you want to get into? I'm
in Google as of today, and it's a very high risk trade. And please, guys, I want you to understand why I'm in it. It's pulled back, and I mean, that presentation was awful. I'm not talking about it got the wrong answer. It just felt like rushed. They weren't really ready to. It felt like a panicked reaction to try to play, we're still in this, we're still AI, we know what we're doing type thing.
Yeah.
So you have this big gap down and big move down. Notice how it's holding the 50-day, and I know it's weak today. They were hammering the March 31st 105 calls all morning, to the tune of 26,000 of them. So I decided to buy a couple. Again, I went with 3 to start because I don't trust Google, and I have, I already have stop in place, and I'll blow out of this tomorrow morning if it doesn't look good without a second thought. But I have the March 100. So I'm looking, to me, that seems a very feasible move. Within 4 weeks, we can get back up to the 100 area or higher and run back up. Again, if the market goes, I think it'll lift all boats, but I do think Google's in trouble in the short term. It's a trade. It's not an investment, right? It's a trade. It's an attempt here. So one to keep an eye on.
And I think that those are probably the best types, right? When we talk about swing trading, especially, a lot of times the risk is going to be tight towards where like you are right now, the current environment. But if you could just get out of that and get it to going in your direction, that's what we're kind of looking for, right? Yeah. Is that it might be, risky right now, and I'm going to keep it tight. But if it can go in my direction, then I'll feel a lot less of pressure on this style of trade. Right. And those are the ones that work for me too, just to kind of mention it, Mike. And I think that a lot of times those are kind of combining the skills of day trading and bringing them to swing trading, right? Trying to work on your entries, not just jumping into whatever price you can get to, but bettering your price on the day, knowing where the risk is, and then just going off of those levels. That's why it's definitely important. I was watching Google today off that 94 kind of 50 area, and it felt like to me they kept pushing and loading in a little bit there towards that 94.50.
There's some buyers trying to come into it here, but it has to hold the 93.50 area for me. It can't hold that, and I'm done. It's got, I'm out. It's a game over. I'll revisit some other time, but you have to just look at it and say, you make it a non-emotional trade, but it can move. Again, not the best. Again, it's a risky, but if it wasn't for the flow today, I never would have taken it. But the amount of money and the amount of buying going to those options got my attention. So, somebody's loading up here thinking this thing's going to run, or maybe they're going to upgrade, or they know some news is coming that we don't know. Like Meta today, which was looking bad. You had that news. Now they're going to do another round of layoffs. Well, this market loves when they lay people off, as bad as it is. We'll fire everybody.
Yeah, this was one that I was fighting myself. I'm not going to lie. Just my outlook on Meta, I was been calling out, will we fill the gap? That's where I'm thinking, right? I mean, the gap just stands out to me, but it is strong on the day-to-day bouncing back. What do you think about Meta moving forward?
I have a couple of options that expired this week that I've been sitting in. They're worthless at this point. They're the 210s for this week, and I liked it when it was flagging up here. I did not like this vicious 3-day pullback on it. And I forgot to put a stop in, and I went out. I came back, and I was down over 50%. And I let it ride, and, well, it happens.
Yeah.
It lost the 8-day on Friday, but it reclaimed it here. So I'm feeling a little bit better about its position here long term, that it's reholding that. But if it cannot hold the 8-day, I think you're right. It could go down. I do think that was a good report. I mean, when you look at the reports they've had over the last year and a half or 2 years, I think that was a good report. It shows that they're still the player. Oh, and while I don't agree with it, they have a $40 billion buyback. I mean, yeah, that's huge, right? That puts a big thing under there. So I would keep an eye on it. I think if the market holds in, it goes, it takes out 195, and it tries to run up into the 200 and then the 205 and 210 range at that point.
Yeah, definitely smash the like out there. These are fun trades to talk about for sure. We'll see what happens there on Meta. Of course, CPI is probably going to be what's going to be the focus tomorrow to see what happens on that action. Let's do one last one, what everyone wants to hear about.
Tesla.
The Tesla Dragon. The Tesla Dragon. What's going on there? Well, just to give at least Mike the outlook on there, I am short from 211.31s.
Nice.
But I've already taken majority of it. I got the tiniest piece left now to just let it work, and we'll see what the house's money can give me.
So it's funny because in that day around that area up in the 212s, I was saying to everybody, this is not the time to be staying long or going long Tesla anymore. It had run a ton. This is time, I thought it can hit the 200-day, and I still think it's going to hit the 200-day up here. It was 227, now it's 225. But it had just run too much, and this candle, if you watch things intraday, you can see it on the 5-minute chart, the momentum just coming out of the name at that point. It was just like all of a sudden it was making higher lows, and even the bounces were less and less vigorous. They were just kind of weak. It came in here, it's clean to the 8-day, it held the 100-day. I think 180 is the place to watch. If it dips to 180 and it holds, I think that's a great place to try some off of there, as long as the market is in your favor. Guys, when we talk levels, if the market's selling off, well, 180 is really not great support. It's some support. It could mean absolutely nothing. Then again, Tesla will trade against the market very often, as long as it's not an absolute deep sell-off. I think it wants to test the 200-day. We have his investor day is coming up on March 1st. So,
yeah, I think the first week of that March. I think it's March
yeah,
3rd or March 1st. One of those 2 days.
I think it's March 1st, where he's promising his vision for the whole new clean energy for the world. Which
Yep.
Right. So I expect it's going to try to run into that niche no matter what
Okay.
happens.
And I'm with you, actually, Option Mike. I've actually put that out on my Twitter also, that I think you're going to get probably that pullback because it's just been so far so hard. But it will probably get that drive back as you get closer towards that event. Of course, we all know how Elon is, right? I mean, he's not the dumping type. He's definitely more of the pumping up type. So I don't expect him to be sounding bearish there at that event. So something that we all need to keep watch.
A lot of times those events turn into sell the news events, right? Because he's talking stuff that is just way out there, or he's talking, can I use the word Fantasyland?
Go for it.
He's talking stuff that is may come to pass, may not, but it's so far out and it's so not realistic that, you get a quick push up while he's talking, and everybody kind of looks at this and says, yeah, talk to me again in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth. And I think that it's an important thing, right? I mean, you want to be hearing your CEO sounding bullish, right? I mean, that's probably what you want to be hearing. But the truth is by the time you hear him say that, is it already priced in? And I think that that's what usually happens on these events, is that it gets priced in way before. And then people kind of know what the CEOs are kind of like, right? Very rare CEOs will give you bearish comments. Majority of them are going to give you that bullish outlook.
And you got to watch yourself at Musk, because he is very he's a salesman. So on his conference call, he said, "Well, we look to maintain a 50% long-term growth rate." The truth is, they haven't done over 50% growth rate now in 3 or 4 years. When the first year they did 87%, they're doing 36. So it's a very misleading number. It's not that he's lying; it's just a misleading number, because they're really only doing around 36 or 37% growth. Phenomenal growth. Please don't misunderstand, but you got to watch what he says, because he's very much like that.
All right. Last thing I'll just leave you off with is just a question, Option Mike. What would you say for those traders out there that are starting to get into swing trading, whether that be via options, whether that be common stocks? What would you say a tip out there for them?
So know your name, know your stock. Never have more than 10 or so positions on at once, especially if you're starting, because you just cannot manage them all. It becomes too much. And don't risk more than you can afford to lose. And so, keep your sizes on swing trades between 3 and 5% of your account size per position, because if you go too big and you're wrong, it's going to blow you out of the water.
Yeah, I think that's an important one. And I think it's so important to really consider sizing. That's one thing that definitely helped me, is when I stopped trying to make one trade try to get me all the profits that I'm trying to make, right? If it's just one trade that's going to get me those profits, well, then I'm essentially just putting all my eggs in one basket, right? And that's not what we want to be doing.
I believe.
Yeah, I believe, or this stock should, or I have major conviction. Well, I can tell you right now, I've had major conviction on a lot of trades that have not gone in my favor.
I'm still looking at some names that are not working so well for me that I had major conviction on. So we've all been there. So we're all make mistakes. We're never all right. So it's just a matter of just do your research, keep in mind, and if you're new, stay away from the crappy names. Stay with liquid names. Stay with the bigger names. Stay with the Apples of the world, the Microsofts, the AMDs. Avoid names like CMG and the stuff that are just going to rip you apart quickly, because they move so fast and they're just not liquid.
Definitely appreciate you, like always, Option Mike. We'll bring you back on and try to get you kind of a bi-weekly spot here for some swing trading action. Appreciate you bringing the charts, the outlook, and of course, some insights from you. Guys can check out all of what Option Mike does. I wanted to make sure that we get this up before we get out of here. So you guys give my man Option Mike a follow. And I'm also going to throw up here his YouTube, where you guys can check out some of his outlooks himself. He puts out some videos. You guys check them out. Appreciate you, like always, Option Mike. We'll have you back on.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right. That's going to do it for us today on Start Swing Trading. So start, team. Whatever you may do, work on those skills. Understand the risk assessment approach. See how you're hearing Option Mike think about the environment. The same thing that I try to think about, right? We want to know what's going on in industries and sectors, because that's going to help us find these trades, right? Maybe you stick to the top names like Microsoft, Google, right? NVIDIA, AMD. Or you can go for the leader laggard style, where you're looking for certain sectors and industries to lead and some stocks to lag behind that. We'll look into all that type of action right here on Start Swing Trading. Don't miss this, team. We'll be on every single day trying to get you guys some swing traders on here. Like always, hit the like button if you guys enjoyed the show. And if you guys have some feedback on what you guys want to see more or less of on this swing trading show, let me know. Could also do some breakdowns on setups. I think it's very important to just look into the market and call out the moves. You guys think about what you guys see. And if something looks good, well, then go ahead and do the research. And if you want to take the trade, like always, it's going to be your decision. But I will definitely point to directions where I see the market going. And you guys do your own risk assessment. Like always, we'll see what happens. Tesla, short, shop, long, General Mills long, and UNG long. Natural gas still in there, hanging in there in the natural gas. We'll see what happens. Smash the like, and definitely be careful out there, team. I heard there's some aliens out there that might come to get us. Who knows if we're able to make it back. I'll see you guys bright and early. Pre-market prep. The X-Files, they're out there, team. Smash the like. Palantir? Coke? We'll find out tomorrow. Hit the like on the way out. Let's go.